Hello all and welcome to the Live at Home series. We are your hosts, Grex. We're very excited to be joined today by a Bay Area great. You may be familiar with his work as part of United Front, Sound Clinic, and his very own music at large. Please give a warm welcome to multi-talented musician, saxophonist, poet, and composer, Louis Jordan. Great to see you again, sir. How have you been keeping yourself busy over the course of the past, several months here?
I have various ways of staying busy.
What did you have for breakfast? There was a conversation that we were supposed to have about this, but
For breakfast today, I had a boiled egg on a delicious piece of toast with a garnish of minced jalapeno and olives, with a side of Gruyère, and of course began it with a glass of homemade ginger apple beet juice.
We recently saw each other at a big family gathering of sorts. It's finally looking like, fingers crossed, we'll be easing out of the pandemic. Knock on wood. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's sort of been a mixed blessing, the way the pandemic has hit me, because I have this hermit streak.
Hermit streak.
Yes.
Just during the normal year, under normal conditions.
Under conditions.
Under conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it actually gave me an excuse to be more of a hermit, and so that was not necessarily a good thing, but on the other hand, it wasn't like I had a problem with it.
You were one of a handful who managed to get a project kind of off the ground in the past year or so. Been finding ways to stay active. You recently had a big birthday celebration at Freight and Salvage. That was last year. What birthday celebration was this?
That was number 75.
75, wow. Are you a Libra?
Yes, I am.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm hearing something. What am I hearing?
There are a couple of really yappy dogs next door, and as is our right. We make comments about it inside the house and not outside to our neighbors.
Yeah, I've been
hearing
hearing
a clicking noise as well, and I don't. No, that's definitely coming from outside. Okay.
It's almost like a dripping noise.
So 75 years is a pretty long time.
Apparently.
You've been active in the Bay Area for, what is it at this point, going on 50 or so years?
Yeah, I moved out here when I was 21.
Regarding this topic, but you've worked under the likes of Charles Tyler, Anthony Braxton, individuals like that, I think out in the Bay Area, correct? Can you talk a little bit about that time?
Well, Charles Tyler was the first time I performed with Charles.
The first time, and that was out in the Bay?
Yeah.
Was he living out here at the time? Or
yeah.
Was this? Oh,
he
wow.
came out here, I guess he's basically an East Coast person. He's ultimately, I believe, from Ohio.
Right.
He was out here and he was leading a workshop at what was called Grove Street College at the time. That was amazing. Because for me...
That's a wild first performance experience.
Yeah, right.
Were you already kind of like indoctrinated into the world of free music at that time?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for me, Albert Ayler was, he was one of the, what do we talk about, a pantheon. Okay?
Yeah.
So Albert
Ayler. He's on your Mount Rushmore, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pick another mountain, but yeah. So, and when I used to listen to the records that Charles had done with Albert,
right.
When I'm listening, it's like, well, where's Albert and where's Charles?
Right.
So to me, the sound, Charles had that sound. Everything I liked in Albert Ayler's sound.
There was also something, it was also present in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the chance to play with him, I was like, oh, I'm in heaven there. When you talk about, say, mentorship or I think it's sort of subtle for folks how that works. I mean, you think of mentorship, somebody's going to tell you how to do everything. Maybe, but sometimes it's just like being with somebody you know who has achieved something,
right?
And just being with them enough so that you can experience their humanness. You know, just realize, oh, this is a regular person.
So tell me a bit about your time with United Front. This was the iconic Bay Area creative music ensemble that featured the likes of George Sams, Mark Izu, Carl Hoffman, and Anthony Brown.
Mm-hmm. So there was a group right before United Front that I formed with Carl, George, and Richard Wood from who's in Southern California now, called Brujeria. So then after Richard left and we finally sort of settled on a bass player, it was sort of a different thing. So it was called the Louis Jordan George Sams Quartet.
Right.
And that's the group that we went to Europe with first in '79. But then after we went to Europe the first time, and we just thought, well, actually the deal was they were going to make a record from our performances. And
what label was this?
Well, that would have been the Moors label.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Did you perform at the festival?
Yeah. That was our first hit. That's what brought us over. The Moors set us up to come over there for that festival, and then we did the National Gallery in Berlin, and there's a couple other hits, and so that was, but we come back, there's no record. Well, what happened? So we decided, well, we'll make our own record.
Right.
And then at that point, it was like, okay, Louis Jordan George Sams Quartet is sort of unwieldy. Let's
So
get a
give it a
name.
name.
Get a
Right.
name. And so there, United Front came out of that.
Did your time in United Front, and this is, I think, again, one of the really evocative titles kind of related to your musical ethos, did your work in United Front lead in some direct way to your 1988 record, The Travels of a Zen Baptist? I think one of the kind of unheralded masterpieces, I would say, of Bay Area creative music. What is a Zen Baptist?
So what is a Zen Baptist? As far as I'm concerned, a Zen Baptist is someone like myself who was maybe brought up in a Baptist context,
Right.
but for whom Zen Buddhism is much more of a practice.
Right.
Okay. So Zen Baptist also, for me, if I were to tell someone the truth that I practice in Buddhism, I would sort of feel like that's I don't know.
Would you
Just,
think?
I don't like to. I feel like it's like.
Would you think of it as an amalgamation of sorts, or is it more just it has something more to do with sort of your performance practice and your personal practices, personal spiritual practices? Are there other Zen Baptists, would you say, or is this something kind of really
I'm sure
specific to you?
there are other people around the world who would consider themselves, who would call themselves that. Yeah. But at the point there would be a collection of Zen Baptists. To me, it would be like not a thing.
It's yeah, right. It's not like an institution. So Ray, do you mind? Just because I know that this has been going on for a while. No, I'm totally fine. Thank you. Yeah, but do you mind just holding off just a little while longer? I know that you're. Do you need some help with that?
Oh, I got it.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're actually one of the few Bay Area-based artists to release a record on the FMP label at the height of its powers. How did that come about?
Well, yeah, we were on a tour and
this was United Front again.
Yeah, tour of fall of '82, and part of the performance fee was getting.
So we're getting closer to the present day.
Okay.
So your sort of banner project, the one that I've participated in full disclosure, and the one that you kind of seem to perform in the most frequently these days. But when did Music at Large come about? And for the uninitiated, if you had to describe this project or explain it to someone who had never seen it before, like what would you say Music at Large is?
Yeah. Well, Music at Large can be different things, different times.
Sure.
But if I'm going to be in it, which I am, it's gonna have some poetry in it.
Sure.
And there's going to be music with emphasis on improvisation, and hopefully as free as possible. I mean, touching on a lot of points bringing a lot of points we've touched on. It's like, to me, as an artist, I am about, and you mentioned social justice.
Yeah.
Okay, we can only seriously talk about social justice if we're willing to speak truth to power, as the phrase goes.
Yeah.
And which often begins with speaking truth to ourselves. When you say the music is political, then you get into some really convoluted discussions.
Right.
And then one side of it is, well, like, art is going to be political. No matter what you say about it, it's going to be political. It's just
people are political. People make the art. The art is political.
Yeah, well, you're going to be speaking to something.
Right.
Either the status quo or questioning the status quo, or all. And so, I've always wanted to be in that number that's that's pushing the envelope, that's willing to ask questions, that's willing to say what needs to be said. Now, there's a lot of things that need to be said that maybe don't have an artistic form of expression. But as much as you can,
I think there are a lot of things that need to be said that don't necessarily have artistic merit too. And I think like the artfulness of it is trying to kind of reframe these ideas in a way that actually makes sense, that communicates.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the connecting point for me is honesty. Okay. And for me, that's what I think I've always loved about free music. The way it has come to me through my ears is that it's an honest voice.
Right.
When I heard Albert Eiler, okay, it's like, you cannot be there. You cannot make these sounds if you're not honest at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me also with Ornette Coleman.
Yeah.
It's like, here's somebody speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
So to me, that's important. And so, I mean, that's what free improvisation and the art I'm interested in can do. It can just help us to accept that there are greater possibilities.
Is that sort of the genesis of a phrase like music at large?
Well, yeah, music at large, right. Music at large is, the at large part is like, you're not gonna catch me, I'm out of here. Come after me,
right.
But I'm gonna say what I have to say, and if you decide it's not legal, then that's your problem. But
would you say that, like with regard to what you do, or with regard to maybe even people who kind of set the stage for a lot of the work that you've done, like the early AACM musicians, would you say that the idea of a jazz musician is antiquated? Or is it insufficient to describe like the kind of work that you do?
Well, it's certainly insufficient to describe what I'm doing. I try not to use the term because I don't feel like it.
So you wouldn't self-characterize as a jazz musician?
Rarely. It depends on the room, the context.
Right.
And it's like, do you have Are you in the elevator, or or do you have time to say something?
Sure.
Because I think it's a certain part of the spectrum which I am glad to feel like I overlap with.
Right.
But I'm certainly not in the center of that slice of the spectrum.
Right.
And I don't think people necessarily know what they mean by it.
They don't know what they mean when they use the term jazz.
Right. I don't think they know. I mean,
Right.
it's problematic. It's I think for most people, I say I'm you're a black man. Do you play music? Yeah, I play a saxophone. Oh, you play jazz.
Play jazz, right? Absolutely.
And there'll be a lot of situations where I'd be happy for people to think I'm a jazz musician, but they'd probably say
Maybe not the money. All right, fantastic. We will be back with more Louis Jordan. Thanks for being here.
to the Live at Home series. We're here with Carl Evangelista and Ray Scampavia, members of Grex. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you want to say? Anything you want to plug?
Well, we don't really have much coming up. How about you?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. I have a CD coming up next month. It'll be called Critical Mass on the Innova label.
You want to? Anything else you want to add about the CD?
It should be a good one.
If I were king, I'd have the teachers preach and the preachers teach. If I were king, I'd speak truth to power. I'd tell myself